So hi guys, today we're going to have a look at one of the warcasters for Khador called Kholdun Kommander Zerkova. Now I've got a couple of private messages on our site asking about this particular warcaster, and I haven't got around to doing a video on it simply because at the time I didn't have the model. However, I bought a copy of the model for my brother for Christmas, and I pinched it off him and I'm going to use it for this video, so thanks Bob. If you want to have a look under the close cam, I say unfortunately it's already assembled, but that's not my fault. That's because he'd already assembled it. But then again, it only comes in two parts. This sword and the main body are the only two parts involved in this model. Pretty easy to put together. I mean, not much problem at all. And as you can see, I mean, it's quite a detailed little model with a nice big flowing cloak and lots of little details like the mechanical backpack there, and of course her magic sword and little weird ice cream cone type magic wand. Anybody who knows a bit of the fluff about this particular warcaster, you'll know that she has a number of magical artifacts produced by the Orgoth, who were old and evil sorcerers who used to terrorize the Iron Kingdoms. So these particular artifacts are quite powerful and actually represented on her stat card. So having a look at her stat card, the first thing you'll see, of course, is that she has focus of 7, which for a Khador warcaster is quite unusual. She's not the best combatant, but then again, she's more the spellcasting type, something that Khador normally don't go in for. But she is pretty good. She's, I would say, a bit more tactical than some of the other Khadoran casters, simply because she's not as super tough and amazing in melee combat as many of the others are. She's just sort of good, but she has a lot of nice little technical things that she can do. So if we go down to some of the abilities that she has, as a Koldun Lord, of course, she's immune to cold because they have all their ice spells and stuff like that. She's also a Pathfinder, so she can run through terrain and stuff without having to reduce her speed. She has a Rod of Whispers, which is this weird little magic wand, which does damage. It's a par 13, range of 8, and rate of fire 1. Par 13 is not bad for a ranged attack that she can spit out, and of course it's magical as well, being a magic wand. Quietus then is her magical sword, which has a par 11. Sorry, so it hits quite hard, considering the fact that she's not really that strong. So it's reasonably good. We can go down to some of the abilities of the weapons then. The magical sword causes mechanical seizure, which basically just means that it freezes a warjack should it hit the warjack, making it stationary. So that's not a bad little ability. It just means that basically it's going to miss its go whenever you manage to hit with it, unless it starts spinning focus to shake off the effect. Other than that, the arcane artifacts that we were talking about, she has a couple of little magical abilities linked to the magic items that she carries. So first of all is her focus sphere. The focus sphere reduces the cost of one of the spells that she casts by 1 focus point. The ghost stone, if I remind myself, her front arc becomes 360 degrees, and she ignores line of sight when targeting models in her control area, and she also ignores stealth. So basically it gives her sight inside her control area and a 360 degree front arc, meaning you can't be shot in the back. And yeah, it's not a bad little ability if you've got stealthy opponents trying to creep up on you. And finally, there's the Lens of Tarvun, which gives her spells plus 3 inches of range. So, not bad, considering the fact that she's mostly going to be casting spells and trying to avoid melee combat. Of the 3, probably the best ability is the reducing the cost of one of her spells by 1 point, which we'll come on to in a little second as to why that's particularly good. Okay, so going to her spells then, this is where the main thrust of this character is going to be, because she is a spellcaster. As you can see, she has quite a number of spells on there. I think there's 7, is there? Yeah, 7 choices, 7 spells. So the first one's Banishing Ward. Banishing Ward can, cast on a target friendly model, and the affected model cannot be targeted by enemy spells or enemy. Now, basically that's just going to give you protection against those enemy spellcasting armies. Now, mostly that's going to be protectorate type armies, but it's particularly useful against the things like Cricks as well, who try to target you with debuffing spells. which might be particularly nasty against Khador. Stuff like iron rot and anything that's going to rust your warjacks and reduce their armor, because that could be pretty devastating. Again, the thing is that if you actually read it, it says it can't be targeted by spells. So if the spell, for whatever reason, doesn't actually need to target your model, then this doesn't affect it. There's not many of them, but there are a few, and the ones that there are usually quite nasty. After that, we've got Force Blast. Force Blast, you can target one of your own allies inside her control area. When you hit them with a Force Blast, it shoves all the enemy models that are within 2 inches up to 4 inches away. So it just basically pushes back and clears the surroundings of one of your allies within her control area. Not bad. Probably best to use on herself if she gets bogged down into melee combat. And again, it costs 3 points, so that's probably the time you want to be using your focus sphere to reduce the cost of that out of her 7. Icy Grip. All of the Kolduns, the Grey Lords and the Koldun Lord all have ice type magic, and Icy Grip is just one of those. It's target enemy model without immunity to cold suffers -2 defense and cannot run or make special attacks. So basically what you've done is slowed it right down, make it easier to hit, and stop it doing any of those fancy little special attacks that it may want to do. A bog standard spell that's really not bad. It's 8 inches of range, but she can probably, I would choose at that point to boost up the range probably on it by using the lens that she has, magical lens. Gives her what is almost as good as a snipe spell for spells. So then she's got Influence. Now Influence is a pretty good spell, and it's worth noting because Influence only costs her 1 point. Now we know we have our Focus Sphere, which will reduce the cost of one of our spells to 1 point. So basically every turn you can be casting this for free. It has a range of 10 inches, and what it does is an enemy model that's not a warcaster and not a warlock, it's a warrior model, can make an immediate melee attack. Now that can be either fantastically good or utterly useless, depending on how your enemy has set up their forces. What you can do with it is that you can use it to stab leaders in the back. So you can get target an enemy unit, pick one of the guys out, and then get him to attack one of his mates and kill the unit. It's particularly good if the target that you pick has some special abilities on their melee attack. Something that you can do, maybe a critical hit or something like that makes it that bit more nasty. The fact that he's going to be using it on his own guys. But I say it's only 1 point or free if you're going to use your one shot of your one of your artifacts for the turn. But again, it depends how they've set up. If your opponent has set their stuff up well, knowing the fact that there might be a free influence spell coming out every turn, it might not do you any good. Razor Wind then, that's one of the bog standard Khador attack spells. It's single target, power 12, costs a couple of points. Just basically, it's not much use at all, simply because it's got a range of 10. Your ranged attack with your little magic wand has a range of 8 and does more damage. It's probably just better saving the focus points and using your ranged attack. You might want to use it if you were going to boost up the range, maybe, but I couldn't really see any reason where I would want to spend my points on Razor Wind when I could just make a ranged attack. Twister then is AoE 3 and range of 10, so it's the same sort of ranged attack, except this time you've got the AoE on it, and whenever it's you shoot it, the AoE turns into a cloud effect for a turn, so it also blocks line of sight as well. Not bad. It's again another reasonably good ability. It's only 2. It's probably the one I would use instead of Twister, just because you get the extra effect out of it, even though it doesn't do quite as much damage. And finally is Watcher. Watcher is the spell, is our main upkeep spell, probably the one you want to be upkeeping every turn. Basically what it's going to do is one allied warjack that's in her control area, sorry, it's within 6 inches, can make a standard advance and a melee attack if any enemy stops within 6 inches of her. Fantastic. I mean, all it means is that you're going to keep one of your warjacks close by, to defender. So cast Watcher on it. It moves like a bodyguard. Any enemy that stops within 6 inches, it walks up and just blaps it around the head. Great. Costs 3 points. You can upkeep it. So just keep it upkept every turn and wait for stuff to come for him. So finally then, we have her feat. Our feat is Howling Wind. Now, Howling Wind is pretty good. It's control area again. Enemies in your control area lose their initial ranged attack and cannot run, charge, make special attacks, or give or receive orders, or make special actions. Pretty much what that's doing is it's taking out everything except advance and make a melee attack. So, you know, you're shutting down a whole lot of ranged-based armies, anything that wants to do, I don't know, anything special that has wee special tricks and stuff. Basically, she's shutting that down for a turn within her control area, which is 14 inches. It's quite a reasonable distance. So again, using that, you get that the extra bit of advantage for the turn that you want all your stuff to go and do the business, destroying your enemy. She's a pretty good warjack caster, despite the fact that she doesn't have a huge amount of spells that affect warjacks. The fact that she has 7 focus means that you can run those extra couple of warjacks, safe in the knowledge that you've got plenty of focus points to give away. Because basically, I would be going with upkeep and Watcher each turn, and basically allocating the rest of the focus to warjacks, because Watcher each turn, free influence, and focus onto your warjacks, and just keep running it that way until you get close enough to the enemy to just smash them and wipe them out. So what do you think, guys? Does she really fit in with the way you would normally play Khador? Or do you just like to go with something like the Butcher or Vlad and just annihilate everybody instead of going for some sneaky spell-related tactics? Why don't you drop me some comments below and tell me all about how you would do it.